Have you ever wondered why our ego sometimes takes control without us realizing it? Picture this: a heated argument where every word is a battle. Reason and empathy fall to the wayside, and all that matters is winning. Sound familiar? In this video, we're diving deep into the human mind to understand what happens when the ego takes over. Using science and psychology, we'll uncover what drives this behavior and why letting go of the ego can be so challenging. By the end, you'll not only understand the ego's power, but also learn practical ways to manage it, ensuring it doesn't dictate your choices. The ego, in psychological terms, represents our sense of self-identity and how we perceive ourselves. It's like an internal mechanism that shapes who we believe we are and defends us against external threats to that perception. But let's clarify something. The ego isn't inherently bad. It's not an enemy to defeat, but a natural part of our psyche, designed to maintain our sense of self and protect our self-esteem when it feels threatened. The issue isn't its existence, but how we allow it to influence our actions and decisions. From an evolutionary perspective, the ego was crucial for survival. Imagine our ancestors navigating a world full of dangers. Those who prioritized their own interests and defended themselves were more likely to survive and pass on their genes. This instinct, which we now call the ego, became a survival advantage, and even today, it drives us in competitive or high-risk situations. Neuroscience sheds light on how the ego functions. Brain regions like the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex play key roles in protecting our self-image. The amygdala triggers emotional responses when we perceive threats to our self-worth, while the prefrontal cortex helps define our sense of identity and place in the world. Together, these areas act as a surveillance system, constantly monitoring and reacting to anything that challenges our sense of self. In competitive societies, the ego also defends our social status. It helps us feel secure in our worth and our position relative to others. Social psychology studies reveal that comparisons with others often activate the ego, prompting it to protect our self-esteem and strive for recognition. In competitive environments, the ego works to ensure we feel valued and avoid feelings of inferiority. Psychologically, the ego acts as an emotional defense mechanism, deploying strategies to shield our self-image when it feels threatened. For example, denial, avoiding acceptance of painful truths. Projection, attributing our own flaws to others. Rationalization, justifying uncomfortable actions to protect our self-perception. These mechanisms help reduce emotional pain and preserve our self-concept, allowing us to navigate challenging situations. Another essential function of the ego is the pursuit of external validation. It thrives on recognition and appreciation, which reinforce our self-esteem and sense of worth. Without validation, the ego feels vulnerable, driving us to seek approval constantly. The ego also craves control. For the human mind, control is key to avoiding insecurity and fear of failure. This need can lead to behaviors like dominating conversations, resisting change, or overreacting to uncertainty, all to maintain a sense of order in our personal narrative. Controlling the ego is challenging but achievable with practice and self-awareness. Start by observing your reactions in tense moments and ask yourself, why am I reacting this way? Is it necessary? This simple reflection creates space between your ego and your automatic responses. Meditation is another powerful tool, fostering calm and perspective. It teaches us not to over-identify with thoughts or emotions, diminishing the ego's influence on our decisions. Instead of reacting impulsively, we gain the ability to respond consciously and thoughtfully. Reducing the ego's dominance brings profound benefits. Positive psychology studies show that as ego-driven behaviors decrease, empathy and emotional understanding grow. This leads to stronger relationships and more genuine communication. By limiting the ego's control, we not only enhance our personal growth, but also cultivate environments where collaboration and mutual respect thrive. We've explored how the ego, from a scientific and psychological standpoint, shapes our lives, from its evolutionary roots to its mechanisms of self-defense and its drive for control. In competitive societies, the ego plays a pivotal role in securing our sense of worth. Now it's time to reflect on your own ego. When do you feel it takes charge? What situations trigger those impulses? Share your thoughts in the comments. This is a journey we all navigate together. Remember, understanding the ego is the first step to mastering it. Only by acknowledging its influence can we live with greater freedom, empathy, and authenticity.